Right, I said earlier we'll do this later, so let's do it now. Obviously, the other team that did play was KCorp. Wasn't that long ago. They had the series against BDS, 5 games. It was a really back and forth series. Actually, by the way, it actually was a really good series. That was actually probably the best series in the playoffs. And as I actually alluded to on all my other shows, the real bummer of the format of LEC is obviously KCorp had to win that series, if you don't know, to get to the season finals. So they're not going to be at the season finals. But the saddest thing is they're actually looking like one of the better teams right before the season ends. So if you were to like vote for a team that you had as like a wild card, like they do in tennis, to go to the tour, you'd vote this team. Like by the end, they actually were sort of like they weren't like really good, but they weren't bad. That was the key thing. And crucially for me, I always do this thing at the outset about KCorp, which is I try to delete the past squads. As in, I'll talk about how Upset and Targamas played in the other lineups, but I don't actually know what the point of talking about the other top side, as though, like, you know, when people do, like, KCorp's way better than no, they've changed literally like 60% of the team, guys. Like, those players aren't there. So, yeah, those players' idiosyncratic problems disappeared. Like, and you see the players they brought in, like, the Vladdy guy actually does have real potential. He just rig games. The other two, even though they were cynical pickups, I can see why they did it, Jensen, because both of those players, Canna and Closer, clearly they're not coming in to resurrect their whole career and be top players. They're coming in to be an extremely obvious known quantity and do exactly the job they're told to do. But bro, this just shows why band-aiding is a real concept, guys. Because when you tell those guys, Canna, just do exactly what you've done your whole career. Closer, your job is just to do these gags. It works. Like, actually, that structure sort of allowed then people like Vladdy and Up to actually carry some games. Like, that's the problem. When I talked about upset with the past lineups is, I'll agree, in, like, Winter Split, some of the games in spring, there were some times where he didn't play out, like, he had leads himself. Like, he was in the no position. He would have a few kills. He'd be in the mid-game. He wouldn't close it out. Even so, though, he had a terrible top side of the map for my money. If you look now, when you actually have the tools to, like, do something, this looks like a totally different squad. Like, I was sort of vibing with this squad by the end. In fact, it's why I was so shocked. Like, people on Reddit were like hating on both KCorp, and especially Upset. They were sort of saying he like blew the game or whatever. I actually thought this was very well played. What are your thoughts on the KCorp side?
This is a very good revival of the whole KCorp, right? But I think it's just very unfortunate that this summer split is not only going to be a footnote as to what people are going to remember KCorp this year for, right? Which is what would unfortunately be the first half of the year. And the fact that they never made it to the season finals is going to be one of the big what ifs, because I think that this summer finals, I think, is going to be, sorry, not the summer finals, the season finals is I don't see an upset happening, right? I don't see an upset happening, and it's a shame because I think that there's only one team that had a chance of upsetting either BDS, Fnatic, or G2, right? Fnatic, in terms of they're just going to crush the other teams in terms of player quality, in terms of protocols. BDS and G2 are just above everybody else. So I don't really see any of these other teams being able to challenge them unless KCorp was there, right? And I definitely agree. Like, having Kana, having Closer, that brings a certain level of quality to the team. I think that they definitely had a very clear identity in terms of how they wanted to play. They definitely put the team together as well and were able to execute to a certain degree around that. Definitely in terms of the protocols, in terms of how they executed on dual lanes to extend leads. Not exactly full marks in the category, but it's a good enough, right? It's good enough. And they are able to then coherently put together something that can team fight around objectives and then pressure leads accordingly to the close games, be it from a 1-3-1 or using Baron to then close out accordingly from such a position. So I felt that this KCorp was one of those, it's a wild card out there, right? They have the quality to contest. They are decently coherent. So there was hope for them. And it's a shame that they didn't make the season finals.
The only actual, like, upside to the run they had in the end, bearing in mind they didn't make it, like, I'm taking aside the Vladdy topic because I'm actually pretty certain if you look at the order of how they brought it, they're clearly going to build around the Vladdy guy. He's going to be here next year. That just seems like an obvious move to me. But people know the rumor is, like, Upset probably was never going to get to stay no matter what because they've got the Calist guy and they've clearly been grooming him to be an LEC player. And it's obvious that he's sort of next on that train of Sakan and Cabo that they're telling, like, if you wait, you know, don't go to another team, we'll take. I'm speculating here, but this is what I've heard behind the scenes. Don't go to another team. We'll bring you up and put you in the LEC squad and you'll get your time to play, basically. The The reason why I bring that up is because the one upside for me, because I'm a fan of Upset's game, I think he is actually one of the best LEC players to never win a title. He'd probably be top of that list if people don't know. Is if you look at this guy's year, it was looking so bad early on. Even though I always point out, it's actually spring that was the worst one for him. In winter, he actually had a bunch of games where he would get the lead early, or they'd win in late, or they'd get a couple of kills. They had a non-existent mid game in LEC for some reason. But this split, I think Upset had such a glow up. Like, he actually might have a chance now to get picked up in the offseason and go to another squad. Like, if I had to guess, I don't think he'll have loads of offers because he has always had that baggage follow him around of like, is he too demanding, or do people think he's a diva or whatever? Even though, by the way, I'll tell you, he's got a fabulous work ethic. And if you actually ask people who've played his teammates of his, obviously I don't know about Adam, the ones that are reasonable, they'll all tell you, yeah, he's actually really good, and like a lot of that's overblown. But I feel like if he'd have been where he was in spring or winter at the end of this year now, he actually might have like killed his career. He'd be in a position where like, I don't know that you're going to get many, like the offer you would get would be like for fucking Giant X or something stupid like that. You know what I mean? Like some not very good team. I actually feel like there's a chance that maybe he can actually get like sort of a call up now. Like if I think of some of the other teams in the league, I mean, even though people are going to think this is nonsense, dude, an obvious one to me would absolutely be Fnatic. It'd be like, come back, bro. Just come and play with us again. Like, think about the team we've got now. If we slot you in here with this Razork, and by the way, the Jun guy's not bad. Like, bro, we could fucking win the league. Like, I would be making that. So, if you're an Upset fan like I am, I actually think he sort of ended on a pretty good note. Like, I think you can see from that series the skill set. And like I say, I watched that series and I don't think, wow, he didn't win the game. I'm like, bro, if I just give him a better team, wouldn't this have been a series win? I think he would have won this series for himself. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think when it comes to player quality, Upset has definitely always been up there with the rest of in terms of who can contest with Asian players, right? Upset's definitely in the conversation. So I just remembered that there was a whole drama between Adam and Upset, and it makes me feel a little bit silly for bringing up that might be someone. I mean, that's part of what coaching is, right? You gotta have to bring players who might not seem that they're able to work together and get them to be able to work together. I think that there's definitely some contending pieces for them for them out there. It's unlikely that he's gonna stay on KCorp. Or maybe he does, right? But I think definitely Fnatic is definitely a potential destination.
Without
BDS
ruining
is another
anything,
potential
let me just
destination.
say, let's just say I would guess he doesn't want to stay on KCorp. Let's just put it that way, you know. Like.
Fair enough.
And I get the vibe, maybe they also don't want him to stay, so it might be mutual in that sense, gents. Like, I feel like it's better for everyone if we just move on at this point in time, you know.
Yeah, but it's somebody who is looking for someone with the carry potential. If someone's trying to win
Yes.
the LEC, right? Then this is somebody that they look for.
Yeah.
Or unfortunately, with the current market that the esports is in, it might be one of those cases where he just ends up having too big of a price tag and he just ends up sitting out because some of these teams they just don't feel that they can contest G2 in the next year. So probably it's a few factors. What the G2 lineup looks like for 2025. Do any teams want to try to contest G2 for that title in the LEC? And does the team have the right team where they would then consider bringing Upset into that scenario? Right.
I mean, you were talking earlier, but like, I actually agree. An obvious one, even though sadly I don't think they will, because as I say, I think the coaching staff has a different perspective of what they want. If I'm BDS, this would be the move I would do, bro. Because this is the move that for real could just make you the champion. Like, everything else can stay the same. And by the way, even though I know the other reason it would never happen in theory is Adam and Upset supposedly hate each other, blah, 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 blah. First of all, I trust the coaching staff. I think they could keep Adam reined in, as it were. And then also, I would just say this to Adam, bro, like, your styles would even fucking work. Like, that whack shit that Monty used to do to, like, make it sound like Adam was doing it tactically. Like, you're going to be the pressure sponge up top to give Crownie space in the lane. Like, that's not really true, but it does work like that in principle. And I'll tell you what, someone like Upset would fucking love that. Remember, he literally has played with people who do that in top lane. That's their whole style. So I even think it would work. And then the other team, to me, no one mentions this team. I think this would be another obvious one. If you're thinking of a team that has pieces which would instantly get better with a carry, bro, how about Heretics? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with Flackhead, but the problem is he's not like the superstar carry, is he? So if you put this guy onto a team with Trimby and Yekot, like, this guy could cook. Again, with Wanderers, he's already played Wanderers top lane guys. Like, this guy could actually cook if he was on some of these squads, I feel like. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.